Varsity soccer takes center stage as the Mountaineers of Wachusett find themselves on the road at Doyle Field, taking on the Blue Devils of Leominster. And a very good evening, everyone, alongside Bill Thomas and Kate Robbins, Todd Robbins for Rivalry Family Media. Happy to have you along with us up here inside of the press box at Doyle Field for what we're looking forward to, a fantastic matchup of these two teams that started with a great battle last year. These two teams met last year. Two Leominster victories, a 3-0 victory on the road. Meanwhile, it went from, a 3-0 victory for Wachusett to a 4-3 Leominster win as Leominster battled back on the road from a 3-goal deficit. Coach Steve McCaughey concerned with perhaps a little revenge tonight potentially being sought by the Mountaineers. Meanwhile, here they come into Doyle Field Leicester with their 1-1 mark. The Mountaineers, one win on the season. They've played 3 games. They've yet to lose one. They have 2 ties. The Mountaineers open the season on the road at Westboro with a draw, 1-1 against Westboro, and then at home against Shrewsbury, also a 1-1 draw. And then picked up their first win this week at Algonquin, a 1-0 victory, at the tail end of last week. Leominster, meanwhile, a 2-0 loss to Algonquin to open the season, and then a win against Westboro here at Doyle Field, 2-1 victory. So I think the things, Bill Thomas, that stands out to me between these two schools, Leominster, of course, 1-1, Wachusett 1-0-2. But the one thing that stands out to me, Leominster has scored 2 goals in a victory, failed to score on 1, so they've scored a total of 2 goals. Meanwhile, Wachusett, they've scored 1 goal steadily every single night. So for Leominster tonight, the goal would be score more than 1 goal.
Well, all it takes is 1 goal to win. I'm guessing some of that low scoring is attributed to good goalkeeping too. You know, we saw some good goalkeeping last week, and Leominster boys are known for producing some good skilled players, goalkeepers in places that they've shined in past years. So we'll have to see if they can find that 1 goal. That's all it's going to take tonight.
Coach McCaughey is going to rely on his sophomore keeper in Anthony Truong. And Kate, Anthony Truong in the game against Algonquin that we saw here on RFM, he certainly did a great job laying out for balls and getting to places that he used his tall frame to cut down angles and was able to get to balls that it looked like were just out of his reach. And full extension was able to make it to him against this team like Wachusett tonight. He's going to be pressed again.
He's absolutely going to be pressed again, and it was a feat of acrobatics last week when we took a look at this boys soccer team from Leominster. And obviously had a phenomenal season last year and looking to continue that trend this year. But the cohort that Leominster is in with Westboro, Algonquin, and Wachusett, not an easy task. Those are the only teams that consist of your entire regular season. And so you're kind of running through a gauntlet, one right after the next after the next. I was very surprised at how low scoring and affair everything has been in the boys soccer ranks. Obviously, we're more casual fans to this than we are of football and of basketball here in Leominster. So it's been a very nice treat to be able to see the production and be able to see exactly what this boys team has to offer here in 2020-2021. But you feel the tension build all game long last week. It's going to be a game of who makes more mistakes because everything has been such a low-scoring affair. Goes by lickety-split. These boys are incredibly talented, and it's going to be who makes the fewer mistakes, who's going to become victorious. And if it had not been for the tremendous goalkeeping by Truong last week for Leominster, I think you would have seen a very different outcome for the Blue Devils. So he has been masterful in that net, and so we look for that to continue this week because he's going to have to carry a lot of that defense for Leominster in order for them to be victorious.
And Bill Thomas made reference to it a little while ago, talking about the need for 1 goal to win the game. And for Leominster, they're without a couple of key players that are usually out there seeking those goals. Alex Miller and Christian Godinho, both are going to be missing the game today. They were all-state players last season and part of that big, deep playoff run Leominster made. They will not be suited up tonight, both out due to injury. And so, meanwhile, Coach McCaughey says, Bill Thomas, we're going to turn to the next people up. He's going to look to 3 sophomores, Xavier Bonilla, Anthony Trunk, Mike Halstead. The sophomores will be expected to step up here on varsity and make up for 2 all-state returning seniors.
Well, sometimes you got to go next level, and if that means bringing some kids in that you're not used to putting in these kinds of pressure starting situations, and that's what you got to do. And I fully expect they've been well coached and versed in what's going to take. They're not going to put them in vulnerable spots, right? They'll get beat on, I'm sure they'll be covering for them, watching for the long passes, stuff over the top, watch for the offside. It's all stuff you work on no matter who's on the field. if you execute those kinds of things, I think you'll be victorious, and that's what Leominster's got to do tonight.
No question about that, Kate. And, you know, Coach Fahy was really concerned about that relationship to last year's game, a game where Leominster was down 3-0, came back 1-4, 3-out Hal Lane Field in Holden. Year over year as a coaching staff, how much can you really put, you know, stock into that looking or seeking for victory?
As a coach, you never forget. That's for darn sure. You certainly carry that on your own shoulders from year to year. And it kind of happens through osmosis. You have those upperclassmen. Even if you get a new fold of players in that are underclassmen, sophomores and fresh, you can feel it. It really is. It's a gut feeling, and Wachusett's going to carry that into this game no matter what anybody says. They can say that the slate is clean. It's not. I guarantee you that it is not. You carry over those feelings, and I feel like tonight is going to be some heightened tension, and tonight is going to be a time where Wachusett is going to be out for revenge, because why not play angry?
And we'll see how angry they are, dropping 2 to Leominster last year, 1 in heartbreaking fashion on their own home turf. Bill Thomas will make one last point before we get people off to the kick of the match, and that is about these rules. We've seen these COVID rules in place across all the sports we've been covering here on RFM. Boys soccer is different. They themselves have their own COVID modifications, and one thing you were really able to point out last telecast was just how creative here in boys soccer they've been with finding ways to skirt things like the lack of full-on corner kicks. Maybe it's a tap-in and then you drag it and send a huge kick across the box with somebody charging. There's always a way when you can legislate something to find your way around said legislation.
Yeah, there's always workarounds, and we saw that right away last week. You know, we saw a girls' game, and then boys' game was dramatically different with the way they took advantage of the rules with the indirects, the no throw-ins, everything's on ground. But they learned quickly. You don't have to kick the ball very far to get it active. So you just tap it to a player standing next to you, and it's game on just like you had a direct kick. So we've seen how they've modified the rules. We've seen how players have modified the way they attack the rules, and I'm sure we'll see more of that today.
Player introductions beginning here at historic Doyle Field. National anthem to come, and first kick. All of it right here on Rivalry Family Media.
Forward, number 9, Captain Corbin, Marita, midfielder, number 10, Coach Nash, Captain, midfielder forward, Captain number 11, Swaze, midfielder, number 15, John Kokonis, midfielder, number 17, Pio. Number 18, Hunter Smith. Midfield, number 19, Cody Long. Number 20, Michael Ligia. Number 0,
like paper copy like this. Can I borrow it for a second? You don't have it.
Assistant coach, and Nico Fernandez.
Thank you.
Number 21, Julian Booth. Midfielder, number 8, Tiago Cupertino. Forward, midfielder, number 22, Eric Donre Jimenez. Defense, number 12, Daniel Tavares. On defense, number 14, Leonardo Shishito. Defense, midfield, number 6, Jeffrey Perez. On defense, number 2, Joe Pickett, the third. Midfield and forward, number 23, Andy Truong. In goal, number 1, Anthony Truong. Head coach, Steve McCarthy. Assistant coaches, Chuck Costopoulos, Jensen Perez, and Gabriel Lima. Ladies and gentlemen, this is time to face the West on a beautiful U.S. flag as we honor America with playing of our national anthem.
A fine night under the lights here at historic Doyle Field on Rivalry Family. We are so happy to have you a part of our family for this one as Wachusett finds themselves historic Doyle Field to battle the Blue Devils of Leominster. First kick belongs to the Mountaineers, and we're off and running with boys varsity soccer here on RFM. Wachusett wearing the road white top, white bottoms, the forest green checks on the sleeves, check match down the sides of the white shorts. Meanwhile, Blue Devils wear the home royal blue tops, royal blue bottoms, trimmed in white, white numerals front and back. Leominster across the chest, and Leominster will go right to left here in the first half of action. Back and forth early on, ball clear to the sideline. Nice knockdown by Coach McCockey over at his bench. And the ball will belong to the Mountaineers.
It's like he's done that before.
Absolutely. Self-preservation is an amazing item. Keogh will trigger the restart. He'll send it in to Smith. We'll send it across the box. Knocked down in front and now pushed out toward the far sideline.
We've already seen the primary way that in the boys game. We've seen that the COVID rules kind of have a workaround.
Didn't take long.
Does not take long.
Leominster on the attack. Again, moving right to left. It's Cupertino. Trying to find a hole. Finds an entry. Little touch on there from Halstead. And then immediate turn back by the Mountaineers.
The other thing is no heading.
Yes.
But no, we've seen kids sneak one in on occasion. Officials have been pretty cooperative with that.
Point from the officials. They're using the hand-triggered whistles, so not necessarily as loud as we're used to.
On these restarts, defenders need to be 10 yards away from the offense. So if you're seeing a lot of space that you usually wouldn't see on the soccer pitch on these restarts, 10 yards, the defense needs to be away.
10 yards away and 6 feet apart. It ends up looking a bit like a chess set as you scatter players out along the board.
They will be reminded of that for sure.
Once again, that quick kick.
And sent it in the middle of the box, Phil Thomas. Tried to turn on net, launched up and over the top. It was Coachy Ash, sent a little floater. It sails long over the top of Truong, and they go, whew, and turn the tide back the other way. Goal kick set up there, a little touch on, and then driven downfield by Leonard. Ball knocked on at the midfield, and Leominster tries to continue to move it forward. Touch forward there, trying to make the play. It's Halstead, and then a whistle. Leominster has the ball taken away from ball back to the Mountaineers. And so back and forth soccer here in the early going. Nobody able to get much farther than the top of the box, and Leominster hasn't been able to get past midfield for the most part. Touch on here for Leominster. It's Cupertino. Check it, Perez. Touch back for Pickett the third. And now a stalemate right at the midfield and out of play. Ball belongs to the Mountaineers. Oh, check it. Ball belongs to Leominster. Touch on will come here from Demarius. Well, change of plans for Coach McCockey as he'll change the board up here a little bit, and it's Cupertino. Cupertino for Demarius, who drives it downfield with the left leg, and it's knocked off. Just about 4 minutes into this one, no score, Blue Devils and Mountaineers here at historic Doyle Field. Mountaineers try the push through there. It was Narita. Narita found himself at a wall of blue and white, and eventually Leominster will turn the tide. Nice lead man pass down the right sideline. It's steered out of play by Montalto. Gave his defense an opportunity to come with him. The possession stays Leominster, but Leominster not able to get on the break.
Leominster first time really in our own offensive zone here. There's been a tight lid on this side of the field here in the early going.
And Kate, one of the observations both of us made pregame was just how much height Leominster was going to be giving up in this game.
We talk about it a lot in the football field. This tends to happen. Leominster going up against any Wachusett team, especially in offensive and defensive lines. But the same can be said right now on the soccer pitch. There is a fairly significant size differential, especially with Wachusett's forwards.
Keeper Reardon came out, took the ball away from Leominster, and then immediately triggered a restart going back the other way, and Wachusett will take it all the way down the sideline and then out the end line, last touched by Leominster, and so the Mountaineers with the corner.
No, just to expand a little bit on the height, where they've taken away the headers, they've also taken away a large part of the game, especially for teams with taller players. It's a big offensive component to teams have taller players, especially in the box where you're trying to work it. You can't use your feet as much, but take the head away, you take away a lot of offense.
The touch in and then driven to the center of the box by Vernon. Misses everybody but clear all the way over to the left sideline. Now the play out toward the boundary. Swayze was there. Both teams try to buy it, and the signal is Leominster ball.
Nice deflection there by Wachusett.
And back and forth and out the sideline again. Mountaineers keep. They'll have a restart from the left sideline. 14.5 to play here in quarter one. No score. We're expecting a low-scoring one here. Mountaineer average, 1 goal a game. You could split Leominster to an average of 1 goal a game as well. They scored 2 in a 2-1 win against Westboro. They scored 0 in a 2-0 loss to Algonquin. So each team averages about a goal a game. So not a lot of scoring expect on this one.
When you do get those scoring chances, you got to take advantage of them because they are going to be at a premium tonight, I think.
Going to be a game of mistakes.
Indeed. Demarius. Touch on. Mountaineers will take. Leominster full head of steam there. It was Bonilla. Tried to get it in the midfield. Couldn't. Ball was knocked down, and then there was a push. The ball will go back to Leominster on the free kick.
A lot of action right now between the 30s. Leominster has been on the defensive end for quite a bit of this first quarter. Not, I mean, quite a bit. There's still 13:38 left.
Indeed. Cupertino sends the ball long down the right side. It's knocked down by Leominster, and the Mountaineers will win position. Turning the tide, it was Swayze. But now Leominster pushes it up along that right wing. Continues to drive down toward the center there. It looked to me like it was Bone with the head of steam. Touch on there from Ash. And then Leominster will turn the tide back. Gilio. Back and forth we go. This one sent back to Truong. Head of steam. It'll launch the ball over midfield. Knocked down there by Swayze. Tide turn there by Cupertino. And Cupertino loses it out the sideline. Ball back to the Mountaineers. 12:45 to play here in the first quarter. Extra ball.
Taking away that quick touch there, playing close defense. You know, you modify and adapt. They find a way to beat the rule, and then they find a way to countermeasure the workaround. It's interesting.
A tactical game, to say the least, between these two experienced coaches, Jason Garamond from the Mountaineers, Steve McCaughey for Leominster.
You know, no headers, but they've gotten pretty good at using the shoulders, too.
Indeed they have. Shoulders, top of the chest, just shy of the chin. And the ball will slip out on the right sideline, signal Mountaineer ball.
Stick a football shoulder pad in it, get a little more lift out of it. You might go somewhere.
One of the things that COVID does bring up relative to soccer and headers, it has been kind of a bugaboo for the MIAA, especially in the girls' game, with regard to safety. So you wonder if head injuries are dispelled because of COVID, if that becomes a point of conversation for the soccer committee on the boys and the girls' side.
No question about
I doubt that it would come to fruition because it's such a major part of the game, but it is a conversation that I'm sure the committee is going to have relative to database decision-making and statistical analysis.
Absolutely, but much like anything else, right? If properly taught, I mean, you just saw a player avoided what would have typically been a header. Let the ball settle down, played it off the top of his chest. You know, anything can be, as Bill Thomas said, modified and adapted. Ball will play on the way to Reardon.
You wonder how that transfers to the college game, though, especially when kids are looking to get education based on soccer skills, and not having that refined skill could hamper, you know, their ability to move forward at the amateur level.
My sneaking suspicion, Bill Thomas, this is going to be a decision that's going to go bottom up and eventually is going to work its way from the youth to high school on to the collegiate
Probably
level.
start low, exactly.
Yep.
Where it's more acceptable.
Without a question about it. 10:45, quarter one. No score, Leominster and Wachusett.
Oh, nice move right there.
Yeah,
little
nice
back heel
footwork.
move. You don't see that very often, but it's nice when you do.
One of very few sports where you got to go backward to go forward, but sometimes it does work. And a nice attack there by Booth to drive it into the sideline as it looked like the Mountaineers were going to turn the tide down the left side. And this one will get launched out of play, and the Mountaineers will have an opportunity for a restart from the the left sideline.
Out of the park.
Yes.
That's why they have a bag of balls.
Indeed. Spread all over the field here as, again, they have to be constantly disinfected. All part of these COVID protocols.
I believe they have 8 soccer balls available at different points around the field.
Chase toward the sideline. Valente try to keep it alive. And it looks like he did successfully. And then the last touch was off of a Blue Devil into the side, creating what should either be a Mountaineer corner or just shy of that, a start along the sideline. Yeah, they say it was side out along the right sideline. There's the touch on, driven across the box by Vernon. And then a point-blank shot launched wide over the top by Narita. And Truong again watches that one sail high and over his head. A couple opportunities now. Nothing has come on the cage thus far.
And that's the play where the lack of headers takes away a completely offensive game to tell the players right there in the box.
Winding down toward 9 minutes to play here in quarter one. Leominster with an opportunity just out of the reach of Demarius, who couldn't run it down along the sideline.
Speed at the beginning of this game was kind of a frenetic pace that it certainly calmed down here as time has elapsed.
Gilio settled ball, but right into the control of the Mountaineers' Ash. And now the drive. Truong out of his net, out of position, and finished at the left post by the Mountaineers. An unsettled situation and finished. It was started by Ash, and then it was finished by Ash on the left post with a little touch on in the middle, of the Mountaineers draw first blood at Doyle Field with a 1-0 lead, 8:42 to play here in quarter one.
What would that be in soccer time, Todd?
I believe soccer time
11th minute, maybe?
kept like every other clock at the high school level at the very least. If you're looking for Ian Dark, Rivalry Family Media is not the place to come. But short of that, Todd Robbins alongside Bill Thomas and Kate Robbins, happy to be with you on this coverage tonight. Forward we go. Ball knocked on by Pickett.
I don't know that the officials saw that.
Yeah, there was a whistle from across the field. The signal is going to be Leominster ball, I believe. Oh, correction. It's a foul called against Leominster in the box. It will lead to a penalty shot. And Ash will be the one who gets to draw. Got a goal already just moments ago, and now Leominster follows that up with a tough foul in the box called from across the field by the officials.
I don't know that he had an eye on that.
I know my friends in the officiating community in Massachusetts would want to talk about that. I'll get my opportunity after this penalty shot. Ash will have a shot from the top of the box. Blank penalty shot here, one-on-one for Ash versus Truong. Waiting for the signal to begin play. There's the whistle. And Ash picks his spot, rung the post, and no score.
Hit the post.
That's a heartbreaker for
Goaltender's
Wachusett.
best friend.
Considering they have only had 1 goal per game, that would have been one that would put them over the top to the 2 goals in the first quarter, let alone the entire game. So Wachusett looking for as much offense as possible, and that one potentially again Ash not able to follow through.
Leominster with the long drive downfield and then touched on by the Mountaineers out the left sideline, so it'll be Leominster ball. 7:50 to play, quarter one. 1-0 is the Mountaineer lead, and Leominster dodges a bullet there. And I mean, the tough part for keepers in particular circumstance, let's face it, you got a 50-50 shot. It's not like hockey where you can cut down the angle one way or another and make it from post to post. You got a 50-50 shot with a guy at point blank. You either guess right or guess left.
Wrong.
Truong guessed wrong. He went right. The shot went left and rung the post. Ball knocked down at the midfield, but control taken by Keogh for the Mountaineers. He'll work it back for Smith, who will send it back to Reardon at goal, and Reardon will drive it up the middle of the field. I alluded to it moments ago. As I said, my friend, the soccer officiating community would want me to make this point. Massachusetts is still one of very few states due to a shortage in officials in running just 2 officials out on boys soccer. Injury on the field for Leominster. It's Gilio who was caught in that pack. And so the trainers, along with Coach McCockey, will respond to that.
Try again.
Athletic Director Dave Palazzi will respond on this call. And so he'll head out. 7:01 to play here in the first quarter. Stop. I'll make my point about the officiating, and that is, again, because of a shortage in officials, Leominster and other teams playing soccer, all Midwatch as well as MIAA officiated soccer games at the varsity level, boys and girls, are played with just 2 officials. Underclass games are played with 1. Good luck to that person. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, push-pull here, okay? You have one person running one sideline, one person running the other. They don't play the official in the middle of the field because they don't have enough. And to me, it changes the game dramatically. And I know coaches would love to see enough officials to run the 3-man game or the 3-person officiating crew. Same on boys and girls level. It just changes the perspective of the game, Thomas, when you have an official on each sideline controlling the lines, and then having an official in the middle of the field controlling the fouls and the play.
And the other thing to think about here, you have the same amount of bodies on the field that you would for a football game. And in Massachusetts, how many officials do you have in a football
5.
game?
5.
In a
Some 6.
100-yard field, okay? 5 or 6. And the soccer pitch is larger. You have a larger amount of space for 2 people.
And I think you're trying to make calls from farther away, which can lead to, questionable decisions, but you see what you see, and you can only do the best job you can.
And they'll always tell you, if you talk to officials of soccer in Massachusetts, there is a bit of a guessing game. You're making a long-term call. Never a good situation. And imagine when they're supposed to also be in a position where they're at the second-to-last defender to call a player offsides. Very difficult circumstances. You're
That's why
splitting
they
the
have
hairs.
physical.
Yes, indeed. As we wind down towards 6.5 minutes, Leominster caught along end line in the corner. We've got one official 50 yards off the play. We've got another 60 yards across the width of a football field, and you can flip a coin. You at home have more zoom angle than they do.
I had it as a corner kick, so we'll see what they gave them.
That's the point of, and that's the
And
point.
I'm watching it on TV.
And Bill Thomas, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
This is no dig on them. They've been handed a completely impossible job. Leominster got the corner, restarting to the center of the box, and then cleared successfully by the Mountaineers. And the foot race is on. Full head of steam coming downfield. It was Jacob Williams. Now Williams with possession. He gets knocked shoulder to shoulder by Pickett, and that will send the ball out on the far sideline. Nice job to break that one up by the Blue Devils.
That looked like trouble
It
as soon
did
as I
look
got
like
over
trouble.
the defense.
Not wrong there, Bill Thomas. There was a flash of white jerseys that was going from left to right, and it looked dangerous.
Leominster with a drive back down middle of the field, but the Mountaineers control again, and although there's seemingly more space on those restarts, those spaces close very quickly. Leominster with the swipe in the open field. Bonilla quickly lost to the Mountaineers, and back over midfield it comes again. Sprawling, there was contact.
Bodies are splayed.
And the play on signal, and now the signal Blue Devil ball.
Mask breaks on these restarts as well for all the athletes that are on the field, so takes a little extra beat before things get going again.
Henry Jimenez drives the ball downfield, knocked on by the chest. Leominster with the crossing shot, and a score! Xavier Bonilla got out in front, got in front of the pack, got down to the keeper Reardon, settled the ball down, and going to the ground, crossed into the right corner.
I believe that's their first shot on goal of the night.
And it's the one that cuts. 1-1, 4:57 to play in the first quarter. And now after the kick, finger whistles kill the play. And the officials say, try it again.
And Kate, that might be the first shot on goal either way, because the hitting the post is not an official shot on goal, I don't think. And the Leominster keeper doesn't have a save, I'm not sure of.
He has one save.
One save?
And there were 2 shots on goal for Wachusett, I believe.
Before they scored their goal.
Or one of them was a shot on goal.
Oh, and a tough angle on that restart. After all of that, Vernon put it out of the reach of the backs along left sideline, and it is out of play. The ball to Leominster. Tough restart. Right back, Leominster on top. Chipped back there by Danry Jimenez. Pushed on there by Perez. Looking left sideline for Damaris, and Damaris couldn't settle the ball down and lost it into the boundary.
Perez doing a nice job leading Damaris on that one, but he could not control it on the bounce off of the artificial turf.
And here come the Mountaineers. Driven down the right side of the field. It's the old dump and chase from the hockey side. And Leominster will touch it down along the boundary. And there was hand contact with the ball. And so they've got to get a fresh ball. They'll have to disinfect that one.
Things are getting a little sporadic.
Yeah, Leominster player there touched it. He was just trying to settle the ball for the restart, and you touch it with your hand. That's a code protocol. Again, it's all part of protecting the players, officials, coaches, and everybody else involved in the game. So they will lay the chessboard out. Demarius with the touch on, and then driven downfield there by Tosharon. Check it, that was Danry Jimenez. And then the touch out toward the sideline.
Nobody's going to be able to get any momentum if we keep doing this, gentlemen.
I know, and substitution back in the game. Hey, we said second goal potentially wins this game. We're knotted at 1. Both teams have reached their average. Somebody has to exceed their average to win the game. Meanwhile, Mountaineers have 2 1-all draws. Danry Jimenez from Damaris on the restart. Downfield, a high hop. Played on with a nice right shoulder, and the Mountaineers are able to seal it on with McMahon.
And that's something you never see ever before this year. All header right there. It should have been.
No doubt about it.
Incredible.
Danry Jimenez tripped up on the play, crossing what in football terms we'd call the 40-yard line, and all lost out of play to the right sideline. Nice strong drive downfield for Smith. He beat the defense. Players couldn't do it, though, and Leominster turns the tide right back to the midfield.
Ooh.
2 players collide, and they drop the Blue Devil on the play. It was Bonilla, and he's slow to get up, but it is going to be Leominster ball. It's Danry Jimenez on the restart. Well, 3 Blue Devils going to play a little misdirection here on the restart. You have Perez, Cupertino, and Danry Jimenez, who steps up out of the pack with the drive, and looked like a pretty good field goal.
That's
but
on Morton
as
Street.
it heads up toward the Morton Street Hill, clock off here inside of Doyle Field as we go under 2 minutes. Time kept officially down on the field.
That's well beyond the east end zone.
Yes, and on-screen clock will continue to count this down as we'll eventually enter stoppage time. Mountaineers will drive it over midfield on the restart. 2 players just collide with each other. Clearly got their feet knocked up. Both were trying to go for the ball. They collide legs, and bodies go flying in all directions. Leominster got the better of it, though. They said they had body position, and the Mountaineers crashed the play with Grenier. The drive on for Perez. Nice leap there by Bonilla. Tried to settle, set up a cross, and it was knocked away. Defense closed in there. I think Reardon had lost position going to the left post, and the defense closed in to shut the door.
I think that one's on North Main Street.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, no.
It'll be a Leominster corner coming in from the far side. And again, with these COVID corners, there's no sending the ball across straight from the corner. They've got to touch it in, and then they will drive it.
The COVID corner, it's my favorite.
There's the touch, then the cross, and knocked away by Reardon. Helped out a little bit there by his left post.
These are 2 very evenly matched teams. Last week when we saw Leominster play in boys soccer, there were definitely not this many scoring opportunities. So it's going to be kind of we're at a blistering pace here early on in this one. So it's going to be some excitement.
Second corner for Perez. He kept this one low into the middle of the pack. And the Mountaineers turn the tide. Jump ball knocked on by Demarius, and there's the whistle to end the first quarter. 1 in the books from historic Doyle Field. Each team posts a goal. It's 1-all through 1 quarter. Boys varsity soccer here on Rivalry Family Media. So great to have you along with us. Great to be a part of this coverage on a gorgeous night. Just new moon, Bill Thomas. Got complete darkness over Doyle Field. The lights are on. And I know there are some great folks that are out there in the surrounding neighborhood that are so glad to see the lights on here at Doyle Field and to see some life back in the community. Obviously, that is brought on by athletics. See people using the field, walking before the game. It's just brought some life back into, about as abnormal a situation as we can deal with.
It really has to the community, and Leominster is such a strong sport community that you're right. Just the fact that the lights are here on Doyle Field, lighting up the surrounding neighborhood, Just, I know coming to the park, and we started covering these games last week. I'm looking forward to coming to the park, and it's really brought a renewed interest to just getting out of the house, being able to cover something fun and watching the kids out there and enjoying themselves like we know high school kids can.
I think you're talking about somebody that might have a bonfire out on Main Street.
Indeed, I know. I've seen on social media one of our big Rivalry family media fans, Matty Wernan, out there. He is a nearby neighbor of historic Doyle Field. We'll see him out there set up his bonfire. And although we can't directly see his house from our current position, I guarantee the bonfire is on tonight. And hopefully he's enjoying this coverage of boys varsity soccer here on Rivalry Family Media. To that point as well, by the way, Kate, we got a great email from the Liziak family, from the Mountaineers side of things. They were hoping to see this one, and they talked a little bit about just how difficult this was. Heard from Mrs. Liziak, and she talked about, how difficult it is as a visiting parent not being able to come out and see her son Michael and the other Mountaineer boys play live. And so, of course, she's looking forward to watching this one on RFM, and we welcome the Liziak family and the rest of the Mountaineer families, and we're glad to be able to provide this coverage to them tonight as well.
And this is one of those things that, having been a former high school athlete, I don't think that the student athletes necessarily appreciate how gut-wrenching this is for the parents. I know that when I was playing, my parents were at the games, and so I had the great fortune that both of my parents came to all my games, but I didn't necessarily appreciate it until I became an adult and realized the amount of sacrifices that were being made for them to come, and how heartbroken my mom and my dad would be if in my high school career they were literally not permitted to be on premises to watch me play. And so the service that the Midwatch is basically providing by making sure that these games are available is truly the only way that some of these parents have to be able to interact with what is going on with their children, because they're physically not allowed on the premises, which is, number one, I understand it from a safety perspective, but regardless how you slice it, it's heartbreaking.
No question about that, indeed. It's one of those COVID casualties of sorts, and it doesn't add the over 200,000 casualties we have here in the United States, but it's that casualty of emotion for a parent who gets so excited to want to be supportive and to have to do it from long distance. We're glad to be able to be a part of that, to provide this coverage for them.
And I can guarantee you that it's most acutely felt by parents. So a lot of times the student athletes can't appreciate it when they're in their teens. I certainly didn't understand the immensity of what my parents were able to do in order to just show up every single day. You don't realize it until you have that full-time job and can't have to figure out how to get places.
Some 20 minutes underway there. It was Bonilla settling the ball down. It was redirected on goal by Halstead and scooped up by Reardon on the save. And now Mountaineers turn it out, and there's a whistle. Ball back to Leominster.
Every time I see these Wachusett jerseys and shorts, I think of like a Tennessee or Kentucky. Like I'm looking at the SEC.
Oh, no question about it. Handball was the signal. Thank you, Mike Griffin, with the catch on that one. It's a family affair here at historic Doyle Field. Great to have everyone here. And there's a long drive on net by Cupertino, and he missed top shelf right corner by a fraction. That will go out the end line, and the ball back to the Mountaineers. 18.5 to play till halftime, and it's still 1-1.
It's impressive.
Indeed. That was from football, about 40-yard line or so. The drive down on goal, which is in the center of the end zone. It's an over 50-plus yard drive.
Guys.
Yeah, another whistle there as the ball goes back to Leominster once again, and seemingly the open field. Booth was going to have it. Perez instead, and now a whistle. Coach McCaughey wanted the restart. And the ball is back to the Mountaineers. Did Leominster take too long? Did I miss anything there?
Execution issues going on right now.
Illegal restart there. They took the ball away from Leominster.
Indeed, they did. Ball back to the Mountaineers.
Yeah, the ball needs to go on the restart.
Yep.
Lift. Good job, Mike.
COVID rules.
Good thing, Mike.
COVID rules.
Well,
Mike Griffin's going to keep us straight on this. So for those of you that are watching and are not familiar with the COVID changes on that restart, the ball cannot come off the ground or can't come close to being any more than about a foot off the ground. And so anytime you get too much elevation on that restart, you're going to get a COVID whistle. That arm's going to come up, and you're going to get that COVID whistle. When you see the official's arm go straight up in the air, you know you've got a COVID foul. So on the On the restarts, all players on the field must properly wear their face masks, obviously. They must maintain 6 feet of distance between themselves. All indirects must be played on the ground except for a goal kick, which is addressed in the restart rules.
All put together, the MIAA Soccer Committee, and then approved by the Tournament Management Committee and the Board of Directors as well. Here's the drive from the sideline. It was touched. Truong had lost his angle again, but across the end line it goes. Goal kick for Leominster.
Did you see how squirrely he is, though? He just a fluid motion in order to disrupt what's going on in front of him. Didn't have the angle, but was still able to disrupt anything that's going on in front of him. Nice job in that cage tonight.
So with the touch on, and then the drive. Down the middle of the field it goes. There's a header, but ball really landed on the top of his head. They signal it as a COVID whistle because there is no headers, but I kind of feel for the player. He stood under the ball and it landed on the top of his head. I mean,
hit him.
There's a big difference between that and jumping for a header in my mind.
And yet,
your
your mind doesn't matter.
Who asked me?
Exactly.
Cupertino with the restart.
When they want to hear from you, they'll let you know.
No doubt about it. Touch on from Perez, looking for Cupertino, turned by the Mountaineers. And now crushing with body position. Touched on there by Ash. Truong way out of cage, and he'll scoop it up. And he was thinking about rolling it back to Leominster, and now going to settle the action. And he'll roll it toward the near side. It's Danry Jimenez with the left foot drive. A half aborted header opportunity there as Leominster will play it on with Samari.
I feel like
Samari looking for Bonilla, and go ahead, Kate.
it's like the fake fair catch.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't know where the ball is.
Invalid kick signal.
That's right. Ooh.
Hard body contact right in front of the sideline, and Leominster gets the worst of it as Jimenez makes the contact and loses the ball out the left side. Ball back to the Mountaineers. Vernon.
The shoulder action, fabulous.
Yeah, we've seen some real skill development here.
They've definitely learned how to square their shoulders up to be able to get that lift. And I'm sure that's something they've been practicing heavily.
It's a lot of wailing and flailing.
There was indeed. There was a two-hand push in the middle of that pile. The ball's going to go back to Leominster.
Wailing and flailing.
Indeed. Danry Jimenez with the low liner right up the middle of the field and driven out of play by Montalto, who realized Leominster was right in back pocket and decided a corner kick, especially under these COVID rules, was a better choice.
Took it away from his keeper right there,
He
too.
did.
Good move by him, though. I think safest play.
I've seen more exasperation out of the two coaching staffs on the sideline than I have seen in a very long time.
Nice play by Vernon. Ball was above his hip and was able to get the leg up, make good foot contact.
So many whistles.
And another whistle, and the ball back to the Mountaineers as Giglio sent it into the left boundary. Oh, check it. They're going to say the Mountaineers are the last touch. It's going to be a Leominster restart. Demarius and Danry Jimenez, they'll work together. Officials trying to kind of push and pull, create that 10-foot gap that is required.
No,
And then a whistle from way downfield.
¿Cuál es la problema? What's going on?
Yes, indeed.
A lot of yelling about the 10-yard rule.
Yeah, some
That
real
whistle came from 60 yards away.
Some real, I was going to say, from way downtown, we got a very meek handheld whistle that told us there was
So
time to stop.
explain this handheld whistle. What the heck is
So,
it?
Bill Thomas, these were literally, I feel like, were invented like the week COVID started. So it is literally, it's about as big as a, gosh,
A mini flashlight.
yeah, flashlight or a cell phone, something like that.
Is it because the official's wearing a mask and he can't have a mask?
They don't
So
want-
this is right. They don't want the projectile spittle that comes through whistles. So they created these handheld whistles. So it's literally like this little handheld flashlight. You push a button, there's 3 tones on it. And they sound like a whistle. It's one of those things, Bill Thomas, I
Did they
wish I
forget to
invented.
build in a volume?
Well, some of them are louder than others. This is the first time I've really, kind of seen these particular ones.
First time I've noticed it. I mean, I hadn't really been paying attention. in
Yeah,
all the
they've
games
had
I've
it
done.
in several of the games. There have been a
Yeah.
few traditional whistles, but for the most part, we've had a handheld, so that the officials have not had to do anything relative to their mask and having that spittle problem. The best game, however, Bill Thomas, is when the chainsaws were going after the storm. They had the handheld whistles, and no one could hear a
There
thing.
was, yeah.
And there's a whistle, and Mountaineers called for the foul. And so the ball back to Leominster. And all of a sudden, a game that had some nice back and forth going has lost its momentum in all direction. Yeah, as we wind down toward 12 minutes to play here in the first half. Danry Jimenez launches the ball down the middle of the field. Bonilla knocks it off his chest, tried to play it down to his own foot, lost it, and then ran around it. Mountaineers will turn the tide back upfield. A little jump kick action there from Gilio as it plays to the sideline. That was Truong. And back the Mountaineers go. 11.5 to play here in the second quarter. Right up the middle of the field. This is Pickett. Pickett lost the foot on it, and he sends it all the way back to Truong. And it was an unsettled ball. He will settle it down and then just chip it out toward the right sideline. And now whistle.
Must have been over the sideline. That does help when I'm wearing my headset.
How did that even come off?
Thank you, Bill Thomas.
I'm roaming around here.
Oh, my word.
Roaming around.
Bill Thomas
I'm
trying
not
to get
doing a
some.
lot of talk. I'm concentrating on production.
You are bringing the visuals to the community along with the analysis.
Now, I'm not an expert in this lovely game. I would never pretend to be. But right now it feels like on both sides of the ball, you're not seeing like a team sport. You're seeing 11 individuals on each side, and right now there's so much a lack of momentum that there's really not a lot of cohesion on either side of the ball, so nothing's really getting going, and the amount of whistles are just absolutely killing anything. We haven't seen momentum since the first quarter.
Yeah, no, I think your point of cohesion, Kate, is the right word. I would also say there's seemingly no connection.
None.
One shot or one push down the field doesn't seem like it connects to the next thing. It's just kind of a disparate action. It exists on its own.
It's as if, I mean, obviously the players understand what their position is. They understand what their job is, but there's no connection, no cohesion with the other people wearing the same color jersey that they are, and so it's leading to just this disparity.
A bit of a lack of fluidity over the last few minutes as the ball high in the air. Leominster tries to make the play going toward the sideline, and they say it's a Mountaineer. Be throwing now. Here's a whistle.
What are we calling the throw-ins right now, by the way?
We'll go with throw-in, but it's kind of a
kick-ins.
kick-in or a touch-in, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
It's not a toss because they're putting it on the ground. It's not a lift.
Keogh.
He's trying to get in the middle of that little quick kick there.
Coaches are bickering. Players are bickering. Officials are bickering. There's a lot of disagreement happening over in the corner, and it feels a little, I don't know. Ooh. Ball eventually knocked down there. That was Samari. Nope, check it, Demarius.
A lot of games being played over there on this little kick-in.
Gamesmanship.
If you will. Yeah, gamesmanship's a good way of describing it.
Trying to turn this into a corner.
As the ball went out on the sideline. Oh, sorry, Bill Thomas, just before the corner. And there's the touch on, and then the drive from Vernon. And then played on. Truong got a piece of it. Demarius was able to clear it out toward the top of the midfield.
Great save right there.
No doubt about it.
Great anticipation.
Didn't get a ton of it, got enough of it. Spun on and then touchdown there by Bonilla. And Bonilla has his pocket picked at Krakonis. Krakonis splits it out to the wing, looking for Swayze. Swayze tries middle of the field and lost over the end line.
Perez dispelling with that ball. I told you, the amount of just exuberance on the sideline from the coaching staffs. It's sight to behold.
Exuberance, enthusiasm. There's not much other noise inside of historic Doyle Field.
These games have become these cathedrals of silence, and so it's jarring.
Imagine playing sports in Westminster Abbey. That is about what we've been dealing with here. under these circumstances. Coaches trying to work with their players here on the fly, doing a little bit of math. Field is broken up into, it's a football field, so there's 10-yard increments.
I'm fairly certain the commentary, not so much for their players, but for the officials.
Maybe there's that one way or another.
Stay away from each other. Back it up.
And this is the hard part. You know, this is where you have to assume. And again, Katie, you've made the point. I mean, we pretend not at all to be experts in the sport of soccer. We're experts in broadcasting. And here's what I can tell you is that when you're talking about athletes and a natural athlete, you're asking them not to do what they have spent literally their entire athletic career doing, which then leads the question. I mean, the question has to be asked a neutral member of the media. If you can't play the sport right, should it be played at all? If that's the overwhelming outsider's question. If you have to do this much work to basically play out piece on a chessboard, and players still are going to naturally react like the athletes that they are, the well-trained, well-designed athletes, what is the exercise we're going through here?
I think, however, though, the trade-off is, do we go through, if you ask any of the baseball, softball, track, lacrosse athletes from the springtime, if they would play a watered-down version of their sport so that they could have been out there, especially the seniors, I think they'd take this every day and twice on Sunday.
That's entirely possible, except that the solutions were going to be home run derby and lacrosse penalty shots?
Having been a student athlete, I would have taken it any day of the week. If you let me put on a jersey, if you let me represent my school in an athletic contest, and I'm able to be out there with my friends representing my school, if it turns into home run derby, tell me if I need to pitch the softballs or if I'm hitting that day.
Fair enough. Fair enough. 5:45 to play here till halftime. 1-1 still our score. Leominster and Wachusett. A header was the call against Leominster. It's going to be Mountaineer ball. They'll get the indirect.
Not moved, though. This is glacial. At the very beginning of this game, the first quarter, the pace, as we said, was just frenetic.
Indeed.
And there was a lot of fluidity. Right now, this entire quarter, neither team has been able to get anything going, whether balls are being errantly kicked out of bounds. The amount of whistles, I should have kept them, not shots on goal, I should have kept number of whistles that we've been hearing, because it would have told us more, I think, about this game than we've necessarily seen otherwise.
And this is where, the conversation will go. There was a meeting today of the state's field hockey committee, and they were raving on that meeting, according to all social media reports, on the 7-on-7 and how that's improved the game, cut down the whistles, created a better game.
And actually,
meanwhile,
more participation.
Yeah, absolutely, and more participation, which I thought was a staggering statistic. Meanwhile, you look at the game of soccer, and I feel like it has become invalid in so many ways because of the way some of the rule restrictions are kind of checking off some of the action. Bonilla with the cross. It was deflected by Reardon, but nobody home on the left post as it goes just out of reach. Now the Mountaineers have to scramble, try to clear their end. Under 4.5 to play till halftime.
Leominster needs someone there to clean that up on that deflection.
Jimenez. And now a whistle from across the play, and they say Leominster with the contact. Ball back to the Mountaineers.
Just to expand along that 7-on-7, Kate and I saw a fantastic field hockey game last night in the 7-on-7 rules.
It was amazing.
It really opened up the offense, and I could see something like that happening in soccer. But let's modify the substitution rules and let them substitute on the fly. I think you'll see a much different game, much more offensive game.
Nifty touch there for Cupertino crossing midfield. Tries to launch it downfield. The foot is to the sideline, and Leominster not able to run it down there. I think that was Andy Truong trying to keep to it down that right side. Couldn't get there.
Quick peek over here at the scoreboard.
Yes, indeed. 3:32 to play here till halftime in a 1-1 game. This is where we've been. Stalemate.
Since 4:57 remaining in the first. That's where we've been.
Most of the action's been in the middle of the field. Haven't had a chance to get up down there at that end.
And now Bonilla. Tried to play it on. He was looking to make the connection there for Halstead. Couldn't do it, and then turned the other way.
Billy Todd's in a fight with a fly.
Hey, the fly was over here. I'm glad he moved on.
He's losing badly.
Between that and the fog with the mask and the glasses here, it's just not working. But you know what? Any night, to Kate's point a few moments ago, any night out at historic Doyle Field calling sports here on RFM, it's a good night right now as the ball skids back in, and laying down for it is Reardon. And he'll trap the ball and keep play alive for the Mountaineers. Touch on from Halstead. Bonilla Now steps on the gas, turns it away from the right sideline. He's got body position there. He looks for a connection, not there. Jimenez will come across, and he couldn't turn the tide on net. Instead, he'll send that one over to Green Street.
Now you talk about any time we hear Doyle Field covering some sports. Kate and I will be here every night this week.
Indeed.
And I tell you, I'd play too.
Oh, my goodness.
If the opportunity was there. And just glad to be back watching these kids have fun.
We
Being
got
able to bring it to the people.
of signature play-by-play this week, Bill Thomas. Girls soccer makeup game last week coming up on Wednesday night as the girls will play Shrewsbury. Again, that was a game made up from a double rain from the previous week. And then Leominster Boys and Algonquin Boys Soccer on Thursday. All those here on RFM with our signature play-by-play. And then sounds of the game coverage of field hockey on Friday night. All that coming up as the week progresses. Week 3 already of this fall season number 1.
Billy, are we getting paid overtime this week?
Yeah, I think paid
so
double.
too. I think so. We'll put in for that.
Into the boundary and touched on there by Vernon.
Talk to
Vernon
Todd
tries to
about
turn the angle left to right. Got it on net. Knocked down by Truong. And with a shot from point blank range is McMahon, who couldn't turn it on the cage. He lost it over the end line and the ball back to Leominster.
An open age, I might add. Had a wide open net there, went wide.
And much like last week, Truong in net, one of the absolute bright spots, the highlights for Leominster. Everything seems to be acrobatic. He's constantly splayed across the air, fully extended, and he's doing a fabulous job keeping Leominster in this game. I think he's had, 2 incredible saves that probably should have been goals.
Indeed.
And
Demarius tried to make a connection in front of him for Halstead, and it was spun away and turned out toward the sideline. Nice job by the Mountaineers. Turned the tide of the action. That was Narita. Go ahead, Kate.
Oh, I was just saying, without him, he's single-handedly right now keeping Leominster into this 1-1 tie.
That's McMahon looking to center there. He was looking for Lund. Ball squirts loose to midfield. Leominster will keep it. And the Mountaineers just kind of strong-arm their way through, and the whistles end the half. Halftime here at historic Doyle Field. Each team draws a goal in first half of action, both goals in the first quarter of action, and we're tied at 1 through 1 half here at Doyle Field on Rivalry Family Media. Remember, this game and all games here on RFM, excuse me, Kate, as she stares at me. Yes, all games here on RFM. Available same-day delay, 9 p.m. for replay streaming. Facebook.com/Media Rivalry for that. And then on YouTube, on-demand coverage available by the evening. Search Rivalry Family Media on YouTube. Thank you and the hundreds and thousands that have been joining us in and through our different broadcast opportunities. We look forward to serving you each and every week and having you as a part of our family for a couple of hours each night. This week, halftime at Doyle Field, Leominster 1, Wachusett 1. We break and we're back. More second half action when we come back. This is RFM.
Halftime at historic Doyle Field here on Rivalry Family Media. Happy to have you back with us here on our sounds of the game. Remember, you're seeing this game in same-day delay action from earlier on today at historic Doyle Field, presented with the sights and sounds just the way you would have seen them from the stands at historic Doyle Field. We invite you to continue to be a part of our family as action continues throughout the year. More information on the schedule available, facebook.com/Media Rivalry, on Twitter @Media Rivalry, as well as on YouTube, search Rivalry Family Media. Games available on demand along with the rest of this season and seasons gone by as well. Any of the action here on Rivalry Family Media can be found at your leisure on demand on YouTube. We'll get you back out to second half action as we continue here on Rivalry Family Media.
I brought my
Warm night.
sweatshirt.
October
Don't say
the
strangely warm.
20th? And
probably
currently
global warming.
60
deal with
plus
it.
degrees.
Climate change.
Indeed. I mean, maybe
Alleged.
it's just the mask. Maybe
Alleged.
that's what's making me feel warm. But it is a seemingly
man.
warm night here at historic Doyle Field. Second half about to get underway. Teams will change ends. Leominster in this second half will mark from left to right. The Mountaineers will mark from right to left.
You and your
1-all
terminology.
is our score. Mountaineers still wearing the road white tops, white bottoms. The forest green checks on the sleeves and down either side of the pant legs. Leominster wearing the royal blue tops and bottoms, the home royal blue tops and bottoms. Leominster across the chest. Leominster blue and white down the trim.
Play till the whistle.
Indeed, Bonilla was able to make some body position, and now he steers it toward the corner as Leominster goes left to right here in second half action. Biggest news and note from halftime is a change in net for the Mountaineers. And the first save there for Christoliadis, who is now in the game. Colin Christoliadis, both keepers were 0, 1-0, 1-0. They're different numbers in soccer. Reardon played the first half. Both are seniors. And now Christoliadis comes in. He's got a save, and he will play the second half for the Mountaineers. Leominster has turned the pressure up here in the start of the second half. Just about a minute gone by here in quarter three.
Pace has certainly picked up, that's for darn sure.
And now the touch toward the sideline there was steered away by Swayze into the Leominster bench. And Leominster will have control on the restart. Booth chips forward. Played around by Cupertino. Cupertino chipped onto the middle of the field there. Couldn't quite get it to Jimenez. And now back downfield goes the ball. And out the sideline. Last touched Mountaineers. Looks like a Leominster restart. 18.5 to play here in the third. And there's the drive downfield. Chipped on by a hip there. Nice job by Truong. And rolls down to Christoliadis. Christoliadis with a little chip punt there toward the middle of the field. It was down by Jimenez. And he'll get some space and it'll roll all the way down to Christoliadis again. Now with the throw on toward the sideline. It's Smith. Smith looks middle of the field for Ash. Ash steers it out toward the left side, finds a connection for Liziak, and up into the 12th row it comes. That one made it all the way up here, almost to press row here at historic Doyle Field.
Nearly. I had you. I was getting ready to defend.
I appreciate that. Liziak's going to get a touch on the restart. Montalto for Liziak with the left foot. It was knocked down there by Leominster along the sideline. Andy Truong got onto it and steered it away into the left boundary. And the chase is on for loose soccer balls.
We're losing them.
Ball now rolling on. They've got to find a ball that has been both disinfected and is readily available. So they found that one. That one came all the way from the Morton Street end zone. Montalto for Liziak, the left sidewinder into the pack. Truong way out of his net, deflected it over the end line, and it will be a Mountaineer corner. Coach McCaw, he questioning the physics of the ball bounce.
I agree.
It did seem a little odd.
I
mean,
agree.
if you're going to make a solid physics argument, it's hard to argue with it.
Hashtag
Play
science.
on middle of the field. Knocked down there. Truong was out of position. The defense will clear it away. Looked like Perez in the middle of the pack and or Cupertino, who steered it toward the sideline.
Nice team defense right there off that corner.
Launched on. Punched down there by Truong. Played away there by Cupertino. And now looking for Bonilla. Bonilla looking for the connection. Waiting for it to roll. There was some hand checking going down the sideline. Now a body check. And into the sideline comes the ball. And You know, a signal would like really help when you're calling the game from this level. You know, even just a point in one direction or another would really help. I'm just saying.
You're going to get kicked out of
I'm
here.
going to get offered soccer officiating duties.
It's happened in
It's happened
basketball.
before. You know, it wouldn't be the first time.
Have you heard these words? Think you can do better?
Yes, I have. I have heard those words before.
Or have you said those words?
Matter of fact,
He said them.
I've also, yes, I've said them. I've said them. I've heard them. I've heard aspire higher from the
Aspire
92nd
higher.
row in right field telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've heard it all.
Billy,
I've
you
been
should
there.
hear what he has to put up with.
Oh,
I'm
it's
sure.
it's an adventure at all levels.
Those parents, even at the Division I college in the ACC, are vicious. Vicious.
Bonilla tripped up on the play there by Krikonis.
I have to wear earmuffs or headphones, Billy, because I want to get into fights.
You want to to
So-
defend him, or you also want to join in?
No, I want to defend him. They say there's some terrible, terrible things people. Oh,
And there's a drive on Booth right into Swayze.
oh, we have a potential scuffle. There's some physical contact.
Yeah, we call that a kerfluffle. Okay?
That
It was a bit of a kerfluffle over here
That
in
was
the
a bit of a
line.
kerfuffle.
Disagreement
Yes,
of
indeed.
space.
That's
all.
right.
Yeah.
Disagreement over space.
Kate can certainly appreciate that. Her personal space bubble.
Yep.
This sport would most definitely
Oh,
violate
no.
her personal space bubble.
yeah.
rules.
Right
Oh,
in the
no,
face.
that's no good. Oh,
Nope.
hard drive on there. And
He's getting up.
he is getting up.
I think I might have got him in the chin.
Indeed.
Luckily,
No, so
not in the nose.
21 was Booth. Booth was
think
trying to
it's
turn the
Ash.
tie to the angle, and then
Is it
play
10?
was right
Big
there
hit
at
right
point
there.
blank range. Officials will stop the clock with 14:08 to play in the third quarter. Teams tied at 1, and that was just one of those moments where you're attacking on the play. You're trying to play a defensive position. Meanwhile, offense is trying to turn the tide back the other way, and you just catch the ball. You walk right into it. It was Coachy Ash, and he's popped up on the play and
How?
appears alert.
How does he have a
I'd be
nose
down.
left?
I'd be down for the count. You'd be giving me the standing 8 count to see
Yeah,
if I
but
can continue.
Billy, we know if Todd gets a hangnail, he'll be waiting for the standing 8 count.
And so Ash is going to come to the sideline.
I would take a breather. Take a second. He wants back in.
Yeah,
He does
doesn't
want
He
back
wants
in.
back in now.
That's
He's
an
ready to
athlete
go.
right there. My goodness, you just don't even see it coming. You
Nope.
walk right into it. I mean,
Talk about a kerfluffle.
indeed.
What is this?
Another Leominster player on down behind the play, and there must have been some contact, but it was away from our kind of focus. He continues down. Meanwhile, the action is all the way diametrically to the far side of the field. And now the officials will pick up on it. It's Tiago Cupertino, down on the near sideline.
Holding his shoulder.
Yeah, it looks like he's
Left
holding his
shoulder.
shoulder. Coach McCaughey there, athletic director Dave Palazzi attending. 13:28 to play in the third quarter. Teams tied at 1 here at historic Doyle Field.
Oh, as Coach Palazzi tends the player Todd and Billy, when this game started with how fast everything came out of the chute, were you expecting to be partway through the third quarter and this one knotted up at 1?
You know, we knew at the start of the game, Kate. I would
we
say
talked before the
we
game.
talked
Yes,
about
I would
before
have
the
said.
game,
Before I would have
each
said.
team averages about a goal.
Yes. But if you had been 5 minutes left in the first with a tie game and a ridiculous almost goal, would have been absolutely amazing goal potentially for Wachusett. It would have been 2-1. And I just couldn't even fathom that we'd
I
still
gotta
be
give the
1-1.
Leominster goalkeeper a lot of credit. He definitely hit the Blue Devils
Oh,
in the
God.
game in the first half. Could have been a
Absolutely.
lot more scoring for
He's been
Wachusett.
masterful.
And Truong is the only keeper Leominster lists on their roster, the sophomore. Other than that, there is nobody else. Now, granted, you could put somebody there, but there's a distinct difference in that responsibility and that
Yeah.
skill set than the others on the field.
You don't just throw it in
That's
goal.
what I'm saying.
That's a specialization.
Indeed it is. Just under 13 minutes to play here in the third quarter.
Honestly,
Nice
been
play by
very
Swayze.
aggressive.
Good leg.
Swayze sends the messenger across the middle of the field. It got played on into Pickett, and Pickett drives over the end line, and he'll give away the Mountaineer corner. Better that than potentially an odd man attack. Truong.
Hey, good clear out right there. Take the safe route.
Self-preservation, everybody.
Regroup.
COVID corner here as they try to set up the action.
I can't get over the COVID corner.
There's the touch. Players will cross. Off the left foot low.
Ooh.
Ball knocked down and can't get it steered on net. It was Liziak on the short corner. Couldn't connect with it, and the call is a handball, and it's back to Leominster.
Yeah, that whistle came a little bit early from that from the last touch, and it is going to be a handball.
Tell you, nice double entry, though, with a little curl there to work that corner kick and get good position on that far post.
Goal kick coming here. Truong's going to take it. Strong drive down the middle of the field over half. Played off the chest there by McMahon. Leominster pushes the tide, though, from left to right. And then the whistle for the contact there is a little bit of a stop-start in front of Halstead. Halstead reached out and made body contact. Ball back to the Mountaineers.
That one was a bit
And
off.
off the restart, driven wide of the sideline. And good news there, Tiago Cupertino checks back in at that stoppage in play. Also seeing his first action. Of course, it always helps when you don't have the one number you don't have on your sheet, 13. Anybody see a 13?
Mike's going to have
Mike's
it.
got one.
Mike's got one. That's what you got to go to the official score sheet.
We'll get you a name.
Appreciate that. Bill Thomas is all over that. Will get us a name to go with that number. As that's the only number we don't have on
I bet we could find
on our
others.
chart. Maybe.
I bet we could find others.
You never know. There's a lot of uniforms.
Never say never.
Going to have to play third quarter. Team's knotted at 1. Mountaineers try the attack. Swayze lost that one on a little shank off the side of his foot.
Ooh,
Nifty footwork there by Narita.
fun dribble.
Try to get the angle, and then overridden there.
I think he may have
It
tripped
was
himself.
Gilio.
Cody Patterson. Oh, it's Leominster 13. Nope.
No, Leominster 13.
No
So
Leominster
this we're going to
13.
call a JD call-up.
Okay.
I don't know if it's true
It's either that or a bloody uniform with a replaced number.
or that.
Either way. Wind under 10 minutes here in the third quarter. Swayze with the cross. Knocked down in the pile. Nifty nick away there. He's able to move it on. It was Gilio.
Lucky 13 doing a
Indeed.
nice job to flush that out.
On Bonilla. Bonilla tried to play it on. He couldn't settle the ball.
Look at the height differential.
And then loses that. Speed versus size. The
Now-
irresistible force meets the immovable object, and down goes the irresistible force.
You talked about the push-pull
Yes.
of the officials. We had an official whistle that from the far 10-yard line.
Not the first time tonight.
Yeah, that's because they call their side of the field. It is
No,
push-pull.
I
but
understand that. I understand the push-pull, but the ball was down here.
I understand. The ball downtown Leominster, and the official was in Sterling. Now do you see the problem?
Maybe
This?
North Leominster.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
with you.
North Leominster.
I don't see it. Leominster tries to turn the tide on net. Shot wide there off the foot of Halstead. He got it settled down, got it teed up, and then just drove it wide.
Quite a few changes coming in on both sides of the ball.
As we wind under 8.5 to play here in the third quarter here on Rivalry Family Media. Great to have you along with us. Facebook.com/Media Rivalry. Games available on demand anytime at your convenience, plus a historic archive of all the great broadcasts here on Rivalry Family Media and from years gone by. Out on YouTube, search and subscribe to Rivalry Family Media. Every time we go live, you get a notification. We're a fan of that. Players with a jump ball. It was a bit of a stalemate in the air. Leominster wins position with Booth. Booth centers for Cupertino. Cupertino played up, knocked down by a Mountaineer. Tipped up in the air by Andy Truong. And then knocked down by the Mountaineers. And now the Mountaineers move it up along the right sideline, and The signal is against Leominster. It will be Mountaineer ball.
Todd, you're right. The more I watch this game, and I very much appreciate, you're right, my personal space bubble could not take the kind of abuse. That's for darn sure. I just couldn't do it.
It closes in an instant, too. You think you've got a lot of space. And I mean, it's a 100-yard field, 11 players aside. Still, it seems like there's an awful lot of space out there.
Bill,
and it closes in an instant.
I always thought
Truong misplayed and into his own goal. It was deflected by Truong, who made the move out of his net, lost it over his head and into the back of the cage. It's an own goal, 2-1.
Just a misplay
and we talked about mistakes being the difference in this one, and that one is about as big as it gets.
That ball was sent in from center field, too.
Indeed it was. I can't even tell you whose foot's going to get credit for it from very long distance. But nonetheless, the last touch was Truong over his deflecting it and into his own cage.
That's heartbreaking.
Oh, without a... And 2-1 Mountaineer lead, just under 7 minutes to play here in the third quarter.
And now here you have a situation where Truong has been so masterful in goal for Leominster, and he's had such spectacular saves for them. Now we're going to have to see what type of fortitude Leominster has to be able to pick it up when Truong not able to come up with that save for the Blue Devils. That's a big, big miscue, but it's going to be very interesting to see how Leominster picks up the mantle here for Truong.
First game this year, the Mountaineers will be credited with 2 goals. Lots of time left, 6:14 to play here in the third quarter. They have scored 1 in each of their draws and 1 in their win.
Leominster right now looking pretty deflated out there on the pitch.
Mike Griffin tells me Connor Smith has been given credit for the goal, 18 in the white and forest green for the Mountaineers. That ball was deflected wide, and it will be staying with the Mountaineers under 5:40 to play here in the third quarter. 2-1 Mountaineer lead. You'll learn a lot about your team and your fortitude, as Kate said, just the player who made the mental mistake, but how does the team respond at this point in time?
Well, it's such a team sport. This, almost unlike any other. Takes so many moving pieces, and like you said, it's such an emotional letdown. How do they pick themselves back up? They've got time, luckily. They're not in a spot where they're, up against it, but these goals have been coming at a premium this season.
Without a doubt. Giglio sent it to the middle of the field. There was a whistle against the Mountaineers, so Leominster will have control of the restart with Cupertino right on the blue and white L at midfield. Touched on for Booth. Booth sends a low missile into the middle of a pack. It was steered down, and now the Mountaineers turn it upfield. Booth lost the ball, played on there by Vernon, and then right back by Blue Devils. That was Giglio. Ball hops over a foot, and then there's a whistle from across the field.
Ooh.
And it looks like, Kate, the signal, that hand straight up in the air, that's some form of a COVID call.
COVID foul.
I think he called offside over there. COVID offside.
COVID offside.
I'll own my personal ignorance. That's an illegal chop block below the waist in the sport that I'm used to. That's all I know.
So we should be broadcasting in October,
no
right?
doubt about it, as we wind under 4 minutes here in the third quarter.
Little crossover call.
Yeah, without a doubt. I don't know otherwise, but
we had a block in the back earlier.
We did.
That's half the distance, right? Half distance.
Without a doubt. Here's the touch on. Lysiak sends it up the middle of the field.
You bring Todd and Billy to a field that has lines and numbers on it.
And a football game breaks out. It is the world's football game as we move the ball downfield.
I don't think people would appreciate it.
Bonilla,
Nice reverse.
tried to reverse the angle, tried to push it on to Truong, couldn't get it there. Leominster still with possession. It's Perez. And now the drive up the middle of the field. It was Booth. Hurled over a foot, steered toward the side. Make the call at home. I've seen no arm to indicate otherwise.
Play on.
Blue ball.
This game kind of calls itself. Maybe I missed my calling.
No, you didn't. Nope.
I mean, it's...
Volleyball was your calling.
Yeah,
You
I
missed that.
suppose that's true. I did
Yeah.
miss that. Hope to have that for you here on Rivalry Family Media in the coming months.
If they let us in a building.
Indeed. Cupertino with the nifty footwork and then chipped out. There's an arm. That says Leominster ball.
That was great footwork there, though. He baited the Wachusett player in and then played it off him to get that corner. Good job right there. Looked like he was trapped and turned it into an offensive opportunity.
The interesting thing with the lack of the call, it's not as if you can't. You have to make a call. You got to tell people what to do.
In seemingly, yes. The
They
chip.
just rock, paper, scissors.
And now Cupertino drives toward the right post, bounces out of a pack toward midfield, and Leominster will play it toward the sideline. And it will signal the location. It will be Leominster ball on the restart. Cupertino. Touch to the near side. Finds Booth. Booth. The cross. Christoliadis got a right hand on it and steered it over the top of his cage and out of play. It will be a Leominster corner, but in the meantime, Christoliadis preserves the 1-goal lead.
That was headed just under the crossbar there. Just barely able to get a fist on that.
1 minute.
Signal from the field. 1 minute left. Again, clock on screen. Clock in stadium here at Doyle Field. Unofficial. Up the middle of the field. Leominster not able to recover, but the loose ball bounces down there. It was Booth. Booth settled it, sent it across, and now it will bounce off a Mountaineer into a Leominster corner.
Got to get the ball back, though. Time's a wasting here as the quarter's winding down.
And a 2-1 game, every opportunity matters. Leominster gets the restart. Middle of the field, Pickett. Pickett with the battle doesn't go, and then Cupertino got the foot on it. And that one out over the end line indeed. Ball back to the Mountaineers. Roughly 20 seconds to play here. And the countdown from 5, and that is the way. 3 quarters will end here at historic Doyle Field. Through 3, Wachusett 2, Leominster 1. The lone score of the second half thus far comes on a long-distance strike from Connor Smith, deflected by Anthony Truong, who came out to play the ball over his head, and it turns into an own goal at 2-1. Wachusett with the lead. Tough and Kate. Tough third quarter. Leominster going to have to put it back together here. They've had some good opportunities to close out that quarter.
Yeah, emotionally, at the beginning of that quarter, both teams looked like they had started to right the ship. Second quarter was a bit of a disaster on both ends of the ball for everybody that was wearing green, white, or blue. Didn't matter what color you were wearing. Second quarter, not much to look at. Third quarter, things seemed to be righting, but then with 7:05 remaining in the quarter, the own goal against Leominster, and right now things have kind of deflated a little bit. Leominster showing a little bit of grit at the end there to try to make something happen as time is winding down. They're on the offensive and trying to make things happen, but I think the fourth quarter is going to have a little bit of tension. Wachusett going to work very hard to retain the slim margin that they have in this one. As you said, this is the first game all season they've scored more than 1 goal. And so Leominster is going to have to best their season average of a goal per game as well. So at 2-1, this is a pretty high-scoring affair for both of these teams.
Certainly in the way soccer has been going, the only team scoring reliably over a goal a game has been Algonquin, who has a number of 2-0 victories. But I will say, did lose 1-0 in their game against Wachusett last week. And kind of an odd schedule here. Leominster played 2 games in the first week and then 0 games last week with the rain and everything else that happened. And then obviously now they have a handful of games this week, a busy slate. Went from a game week where there was 4 games here at historic Doyle Field to 5. And that also means that other teams are out playing 5 road games this as well.
Well, I think the kids are just happy to be on the field, whether it's home or away. The start and stopping with the weather sometimes can play havoc with the schedule. But, just getting the games in. We talked about what kind of game we were going to have tonight and whether it was going to be a mistake that might turn the tables. We thought it might be a mistake that would lead to an offensive opportunity. As it is, a mistake by the goalkeeper at this point is really the difference in the game. But, he's played so good. You hate to see the game turn on that one misplay ball from midfield. But as it stands right now, that could be the difference in the game.
And Kate, you had mentioned it, as Billy pointed out prior to the game. Given how tight these margins were, it was going to be a mistake that could make the difference. Mm-hmm. Now, does Leominster have to rely on a mistake, or can they craft an opportunity of their own?
Well, and I think that's going to be the true test here. And if I'm Coach McCaughey, that's what I'm looking for. The type of mistake that you see from keeper Truong for Leominster it was a physical miscue. That's all it was. And so you can't harp on that. What you do harp on, if you are the coach, is how does Leominster as a team now rebound from that, knowing that it was going to be that, one or two mistakes that end up costing you the game. They still have 20 minutes now left to be able to rebound from that and make something happen. And so I think if I'm the coach, that's what I'm going to key off on, not necessarily the physical error in the goal. I might talk about what caused that to happen, but I want to see how my team reacts to that miscue right now.
And it's a risk-reward system, to say the least, as Leominster made a good initial move downfield. Tide gets turned by Mountaineers and eventually lost to the left sideline. And we wind down the first minute of the fourth and final quarter of this battle. It's Truong, played forward, over the top of Montalvo, and then sent back downfield. Let the ping pong resume. It has occupied quite a bit of the second quarter. Parts of the third has been back and forth action as both teams will exchange throw-ins.
Some nifty moves out there.
Indeed. Here's Bonilla through a pile and then deflected right back at him by Narita. Touch on and then flying through the air without the assistance of wires is Jimenez. And that ball will go back to Leominster.
You have to hope that Leominster doesn't get trying to be too offensive-minded here and pulling your midfielders up too far and then get caught on a long ball, because Wachusett's going to play the dump and run here and just kind of clear their end of the field. Just got to hope Leominster doesn't get caught too far upfield but get beat on a long pass.
The restart committee is out there for Leominster. Truong will take it, Jimenez with the left foot. Second opportunity sent by Damaris, and it's side of the net and out of play. Goal kick for the Mountaineers.
Wachusett's coaching staff looking for them to kind of slow the action down. They're telling their second teamers right now, their subs, to when they go in, make sure they slow down that action and simplify. Right now, they are the one with the advantage. They're the one with the cushion, so they want to try to draw this clock out as much as possible. And Billy, as you said, does that then cause Leominster to get overly aggressive, push too much, push beyond themselves, and thereby open themselves up on the offensive end for a miscue. And so it's kind of that balancing act. You have the clock, plenty of it left, but now it becomes a chess match of just how aggressive are you with your play, and risk-reward, does that help out?
Certainly no need to press the issue if you're enjoying the one-goal lead. That ball was restarted and then immediately
that keeps happening.
Whistled down. Another restart coming up here for Leominster.
Not just this game, like games amongst COVID.
There's drive. Up middle of the field. Bonilla, a little around, tried to chip it forward for Truong, and Christoliadis out of his box to play the ball.
Ooh.
Sends the swinging leg kick up toward the middle of the field. Now knocked down. Touched over to the near side. This one's Booth. Goes back to the inside, Jimenez. Touched forward there through Cupertino into the right side. Knocked down, Bonilla. Bonilla gets the flat tire and the signal is play on. They say get up, as the ball moves downfield, and then a slide tackle there, and that's going to draw a card as the position was beat there by Narita. Leominster scrambling to get back in the play, and the slide tackle will be called. It's Jimenez that gets up, and he's the recipient of a yellow card. Under 15 and a half to play in the fourth quarter. Drive down the middle of the field. Truong out of the box. He'll knock it down. Mountaineers with a reload and weren't able to steer it on the cage. Leominster clears their end.
Truong is so aggressive in that.
Not afraid to wonder, to say the least.
Not at all. Love it. It makes my heart, like, get a little bit quick sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you.
Run up into that crowd.
Yeah, but love the aggressiveness.
Played forward, then steered down and back to the sideline. And Leominster's Booth will sprint on for the restart. Whistle. Booth for Bonilla. Bonilla has the angle turned away. And back up the middle of the field. Knocked down there by Damaris. Kept alive over on that left sideline, and Pickett will push the action and then lost it into the boundary. Mountaineer ball. Touched on. Mountaineers to push. Full on cross body block, and the whistle back to Leominster. Some days you're
Pass
the bug,
interference right there. Or what?
other days you're the windshield.
Yep. You just don't want to be the latter.
Downfield drive, chipped out of a pack there. Mountaineers to turn back upfield to Ash. Played back by Booth for the Blue Devils. And now Giglio.
Fleet of foot.
Indeed.
Very fleet of foot.
And touch on along the right side and all the way out the end line. And the ball will go back to the Mountaineers on goal kick. Under 13 and a half to play in the fourth quarter. It's a 2-1 Mountaineer lead. Christoliadis will have the goal kick opportunity. Backs all the way up to the mouth of his cage. And whistles from 60 yards downfield.
From somewhere.
We got a mask violation on a Leominster player. It's his third mask violation.
Keeping score now. Huh?
Remember, each player, you'll notice that there've been a lot of chin guards out there. The requirement is to wear the mask on all restarts. It does not say that the player must wear the mask at all times. It's a unique kind of small touch, yeah.
Another wiggle room in the rules.
Yeah, indeed.
A workaround.
Players, when they get loose, are allowed to take the mask down. That's how we've seen a lot of those chin guards develop. Mountaineers will chip the ball back downfield, running lengthwise. Leominster first to it. Toward the sideline it goes. Giglio couldn't get it to clear all the way out, and so the Mountaineers still have an opportunity, keeping it in the Leominster end. This is Vernon. Vernon play on, looking for Narita. Narita back to Vernon. Vernon sends it long and wide of the right post. Goal kick, Leominster.
Todd, you are correct. The writing in here does allow, with regard to the mask and face covering, a little bit more latitude than I thought possible. Very interesting.
Well, let's share it with our viewers.
You base, ooh. Shot from behind.
I was going to say, I've been known to be right on occasion.
Rarely, but you
rarely,
know how
rarely,
how
but true.
You know how I loathe. You know how I loathe giving you any credit whatsoever. So, but I digress. Mike Griffin with the jokes coming from the time.
This is what I guess.
All right. Masks and face coverings. Athletes are required to wear face coverings and masks per EEA guidelines. Gaiters are acceptable in the sport of soccer here. Face coverings are comprised of multi-layers, and a tighter weave are most effective and preferred. But it says during play, when spacing between players is greater than 10 feet, athletes may, quote, momentarily take brief face covering relief. I think we're having more than momentary relief, but Todd is correct.
Much like on the
That pained me
on
to
the
say twice.
I know on the golf course, you know, remember there's that thing, you know, casual water, you can get relief.
Yep.
Jump ball there, and there was a whistle.
Yep.
And the point is back to Leominster at the midfield. It's an indirect free kick there. Coaches trying to adjust their players. Gilio and Pickett are going to work together.
That's the other thing. Sometimes the student athletes don't know if it's a direct or an indirect. And so there's a lot of discussion that has to happen. Yes, all COVID kicks are indirects.
A battle for the ball. There's a collision. They say no harm, no foul, play on. And now out of play. It was incidental contact is what I'm taking the hand signal to mean, as the debate ensues over on the far side, and it will be Leominster ball. Under 10 minutes play here in the fourth quarter. Here come the Mountaineers right into your living room. Drives that one over into the sideline, and it's Leominster ball. And there will be a sub as Cupertino will rejoin fray. He'll spell Andy Truong. Action for Leicester has stayed down this end. Just not a lot of great scoring opportunities. Maybe one-ish here in the fourth quarter, trailing by one. Deflected ball turns into a Leominster COVID corner. Coming from the left side, over by the tunnel, down toward 9 minutes to play here in quarter four. There's the start. And into the side of the cage. Christoliadis didn't make a move. He's held tight to his post. Teddy Benoit will check in for the first time tonight.
I think here, now that time is starting to wind down, we've got 8.5 minutes left to go in the match. I think you're going to see Leominster start to get even more aggressive. I think you're going to see that ramp up more and more as each second ticks off.
Christoliadis sends it up the midfield. Couldn't clear the midfield, though. And Leominster will turn the action back down toward his net. This is Cupertino. Nifty back and forth movement and steered away there by Montalto, who was standing in the middle of the box.
Good offensive push right there by the Blue Devils front five. Trying to get some offensive position.
And Leominster will have the corner down the tight right. Set up there. It's Booth. Booth steers to the middle of the field. Knocked down wide by Valente. And he couldn't steer it back on net. Mountaineers trying to clear it out. That was Benoit. Plickett keeps it in. And now back the other way. Mountaineers with control. Heading from right to left. It's Ash. Ash for Benoit. Benoit streaking down, but marked closely there. And now down the right side. Toward the corner.
Call.
And Leominster decided they get the goal kick. 7 minutes to play here in the fourth.
Well, they don't telegraph their goals, that's for sure.
Certainly do not. Makes it a challenge all around.
But the athletes don't seem phased.
They
so.
seem not phased at all. Well, when you've learned to accept something, you deal with it. They say Leominster pushed the issue. A couple of Leominster players, one down from the warm action there. That's Jimenez. He's stretching out what looks like a calf or a quad area. And meanwhile, Bonilla went flying over the ball. And now there is a whistle to stop play. 6.5 here to play in the fourth quarter. And Jimenez Caught Gimpy over here on the near side. He's been struggling with that leg a little bit since he had the yellow card about 5 or so minutes ago. His leg had gotten caught across the body, hence the slide tackle that ended with the yellow card, and immediately came over to the sideline and was getting worked on to try to stretch out that leg. And now being attended to on the near side by Athletic Director Dave Palazzi, trying to stretch out that left leg. Meanwhile, action resumes. It's Pickett. Back toward the middle of the field, shouldered on by Montalto. Leominster had an opportunity to steal that one and couldn't as it gets chipped over to the sideline, but Booth will get the restart for Leominster. There's the touch. And then Giglio pushed it down to Bonilla. Bonilla outstrengthed for the position. Now Montalto tries to keep it in and lost it to the sideline. Just couldn't get the right foot to steer it back in, Bill Thomas.
Yeah, nice ball control there. Official standing right there, though, made the call. Good foot skills.
Giglio skids it up the near sideline. Finds Cupertino. Shouldered down by Montalto. Montalto of the talented shoulders. He's had a number of those tonight.
He's square and he's tall. He's been working on that technique, obviously, of lifting his shoulders to get some square rebounds off of him.
Leominster tried to center. It got knocked down, kept alive by Pickett. Jump shoulder there, played forward by Ash, got a toe on it. He'll move it over midfield. This is Vernon. Tipped forward. Now driven back. This is Benoit. And then touched away by Damaris. Back and forth goes the ball. And back across midfield in control of the Mountaineers once again. Skidding out this Krakonis, who lost his feet from underneath them. And Leominster takes the ball. Cupertino loses it as they will cut across the frame. That was Liziak. Giglio drives it downfield. There's the shoulder, knocking it back forward. High cleat there into what looked like Booth's eye.
Dangerous.
And it looks like that is going to result in Leominster ball, but draw no card there. Seemed awfully dangerous. That cleat was up above the waist. I'm overtly sensitive. Cupertino to Giglio. Giglio steered down off a shoulder there as Lund. Lund looked like he took a straight right hand to the chin as he knocked that one down.
Pickett having to work on 3 people on his own right there.
Time not Leominster's friend as we wind down toward 3:20 to play in the fourth quarter. Mountaineers maintain the 1-goal advantage at 2-1. The lone difference, the goal credited to Connor Smith that was deflected by Truong into his own cage. That's the difference in this what was 1-1 game, currently a 2-1 game. Winding down toward the final minute, we'll see the clock tick in the building. You'll see your clock on screen continue. There will be stoppage time at the conclusion. Liziak trying to develop space. We call that working the official, as this one is deflected forward. Swayze will play it on. Deflected back forward. Steer down off a hip. Now chipped back the other way there by Smith. Back and forth goes the ball. Narita watches that one clear over the top of his head. Lem tries to steer it forward with Cupertino. Cupertino on the run, hip to hip as the race continues with the ball out in front. And then there's some words exchanged over on the far side.
I think they were just asking where you're going for dinner.
I'm thinking not, but the ball back to the Mountaineers. 2:15 to play here in the fourth.
Meet you for a burger.
Mountaineers send the messenger long up the right side. Beneficiary on the bounce. Chip forward there. Truong out to play it and secures it firmly with both hands. Final 2 minutes of this one plus stoppage time remains. Leominster, you can see all of a sudden the urgency upon hearing the announce in the stadium has certainly picked up the level of effort. Here comes Cupertino, without a doubt. Reckless abandon time, crossing into the box, and there's a whistle and a signal there, and it looks like it will be Leominster ball.
A lot of action there in the middle. It's coming the other way.
Oh, no, it's Mountaineer
Offside.
ball.
Offside.
I think they called
Offside was the signal. Thank you.
Apparently the offside signal mimics the COVID signal.
There's something
Hand up in the air.
to that nature. See, this is what I do know. In the three-person system where the flag is out there, the flag is out
Goes
for the
up.
offside.
Yeah.
Absence of flag, I don't know. There's just a lot of pointing. At least that time there was a lot of pointing. Let's chip it back toward Christoliadis,
Here's a time.
who is no rush.
Nope.
He'll now play the ball as Bonilla gets near him. And Christoliadis can take his sweet time. High lie fling toward midfield.
How many starts are you going to invoke tonight?
As many as I can find. Ball continues down the right side, looking for a center. Chipped on there toward the near side. Deflected down. This is Lunn. Lunn has it steered away by Pickett. Pickett looks for some connections downfield. He'll find Bonilla. Now Bonilla has to try to turn the angle. Tips it out in front. He's in a race with Liziak. And is eventually steered down and toward the sideline by Montalto, who cuts off the angle coming in from the right of Bonilla.
Blue Devils got to hurry up here.
Indeed. The official counting down from 10 seconds already here. And the final seconds of this one expire. The final 2 minutes appeared quick, but that's the way this game will end. Final score, Wachusett 2 and Leominster 1 here at historic Doyle Field. A exciting battle end to end. A game that was knotted up for a significant period of time as both teams drew scores in the first quarter of action. Came toward halftime, still knotted at 1, and the difference maker in this one, a long distance goal from Connor Smith that was played and deflected on the play by Anthony Truong into his own goal. 2-1 the final, Wachusett over Leominster. And Kate, you said it prior to the game, really, and you concurred on the matter. The team that made the mistake will be the one that struggles to win this game. Leominster just made the mistake. Truong was aggressive. He played the ball with one hand and couldn't quite steer it down. Lost it over the top of his head. It's a lack of effort.
Nope.
It's just simply a mistake.
And it's not as if that the Billy and I have any special powers, but if you take a look at the scoring in Midwatch for boys soccer, you knew it was going to be a high-scoring affair regardless of the way that this one started. And so when you have low-scoring affairs, more often than not, it's going to come down to a mistake. And today, it was a major one, and unfortunately, Leominster as a team could not overcome it. And I saw some flashes there in the third and the fourth quarter by Leominster. Once that big miscue happened, you could just feel the air kind of leave the stadium, and they just could not overcome the mistake. And those types of mistakes are going to happen. That's not necessarily a mental error. Again, not an expert at the sport, so a coach could be, or a parent could be screaming at me right now. But in my estimation, those types of mistakes, as unfortunate as they are going to happen. And what becomes the focal point for me, at least, is to see how the team rebounds. Now, suggesting that they gave up, absolutely, unequivocally, no, they did not. But you could kind of see that, for a little while, just that deflated. And then the fourth quarter, I thought that both teams played, much, much more aggressively, especially Leominster was incredibly aggressive on the offensive end. Most of the action happening in their offensive end. So they gave it a great effort, but just fell short and could not overcome that mistake.
And Bill Thomas, this is one of those cases, and Kate will appreciate this reference. This is a story that went a few weeks ago in college football with a punter who shanked the ball badly. And the point was they got a bunch of, it blew up on social media. He took a lot of flack for shanking the punt. And College Game Day over on ESPN did a great job. They got a bunch of NL punters to kind of give the kid a pep talk, during one of their broadcasts. And, the punters all said the same thing. The same point, I imagine, if you gather enough keepers here, that will make a point across the sport of soccer. The more you play, the longer you play, that's going to happen at some point in your life. You're going to misplay a ball. You're going to lose it over your head, and it's going to go over the end line.
Oh, every keeper is going to have that happen to him, whether it's just a long ball that you don't jump high enough and gets over your head under the crossbar, or you misplay a bounce that bounces in front of you, or, those things happen, and that's the perils of being out there on that island by yourself as the keeper. In such a big net, you have so much area to cover. I thought the Leominster keeper played fantastic tonight. It's unfortunate that the game turned on that one miscue, but, when you have two teams that are this closely matched, we knew it was going to be a low-scoring game. It turned out it was. Unfortunately, that mistake was the difference in the game.
And that will be the glaring point. I'm sure, Kate, Coach Steve McCaughey will point out that that would not be the lone, it'll be a turning point for the broadcast story, that it's the difference in a 2-1 victory versus a 1-1 draw, but so many other opportunities for Leominster that they weren't able to convert. They controlled a lot of the action in the second half, kept the ball. I feel like the entirety of this game, regardless of which team was defending this end, a lot of the action was left to right, down the right end near the upper field of Doyle Field, and at the end of the day, Leominster just wasn't able to capitalize on that one opportunity that they needed.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think one of the things that Coach McCaughey is likely going to discuss with his team, and we see it a lot in football, and I know that's kind of our native area, and so we make a lot of connections. So I apologize to the true footballers out there for my connection that I'm making, but a lot of times in football, you'll see teams control quarters. They might even control a half, but you have to put all 4 quarters together in a game. And now that soccer in front of us in Central Mass is a quarter game, the momentum swing, you could absolutely see there were some quarters where Wachusett was absolutely in control of the game, and then there were a few quarters where Leominster really rose to the occasion and was able to go punch for punch. But if you're Coach McCaughey, I don't need 2 quarters of that kind of play. I need 4 quarters. I need 2 full halves where you are out there and you're controlling the tempo, you're controlling the timing, you're controlling the space, you're controlling the offense, and you have to put the whole game together. And right now, that's not what we're seeing out there on the pitch for Leominster.
Blue Devils with the loss fall to 1-2 in 3 games thus far this season. The Mountaineers pick up the win. It's their second overall. 2 wins, no losses, 2 draws in the first 3 weeks of action. Lots of excitement here at historic Doyle Field tonight, and so glad to have you be a part of it with us. This game, same day delay, 9 p.m., facebook.com/media rivalry, and available immediately after on demand on YouTube. Search and subscribe to Rivalry Family Media. We thank you all so very much for being a part of our family for these 2 hours and throughout the Fall 1 season. For Bill Thomas and Kate Robbins, I am Todd Robbins, saying thank you so very much for joining us. And until tomorrow, when we have Leominster and Shrewsbury girls soccer here on RFM, where it will be Breast Cancer Awareness Night, October Breast Cancer Awareness Night. Add a little pink into your outfit as you're rooting along at home. We will bring about the bell of breast cancer awareness and bring that to the forefront as part of our broadcast tomorrow night with girls soccer, Leominster, and Shrewsbury here from historic Doyle Field. For Billy and Kate, I'm Todd. Until tomorrow and next time here on RFM, so long, everybody.